Hey, welcome to another video and episode where we talk about police. We talk about policing, we talk about things to prepare for, we talk about how to get into the police, and we talk about mentally what are the best tools so that you can be the best police officer that you can be without burning out, without having the traumas affect you, without getting that divorce, and without you know ending up resenting the job. So you can always have the job serving you instead of you feeling like you eventually serve it and are always being drained and dragged down by it. So, without further ado, this episode, we're going to do a four-part series. So, this video and the next four are going to be talking about, why you should be a cop, why you shouldn't be a cop, how to know if you should be a cop, and what you must know before you become a cop. And, that last video is also things that you can learn once you are a cop so that you stay loving the job. So get ready for these four videos. They're going to be released every other day for the next week or so. So who am I? I am Chris Chandler Yates. I am an American who lives here in New Zealand. At this time, I was a police officer here in New Zealand for 7.5 years. Did everything from frontline policing to doing diplomatic protection, or our version of Secret Service, the bodyguard for VIPs, high-level diplomats, and yeah, politicians. Now, I ultimately burned out, not because didn't know what to do, but because I didn't apply things properly. And ultimately, that what my mom said before I even joined the place, she was where I was going to become that cynical, hard, uh, sad, depressed cop. I became not because I didn't want to, but yeah, I just didn't use these tools that we're going to talk about over these next four videos. So why this video is why you should be a cop. This day and age, at the moment, with everything in the climate that's going on over the last few years, there's not as many people wanting to become police officers because there's a massive media push and drive on all the negative things that cops do. Now, yes, just like any job, just like any career, there is that 10% that is negative, or 5%, sometimes 2%. But let's go on the big number of 10%. Yes, there is going to be negative things that happen. Yes, there is going to be the bad seeds. Yes, there is going to be, oh, I don't even want to call them bad seeds. There's going to be the seeds that end up getting taken over by the things that we're going to talk about in these four videos. But how do we make sure that that doesn't happen to you? And why should you become a cop at the moment with everything going on, with all the negativity, with the courts not putting, really relaxing sentencing and looking more at offenders as victims, and the police getting scrutinized left, right, and center. All these talks about how bad the cops are. Why should you become a cop? Now, this is why. First off, I hate saying this, but you help people. It is not the reason why you should join. You should know your deeper reason, which we'll talk in one of the other videos about this. But you get to help people. You get to impact people's lives in their worst times. Now, if you are coming from a place of love and not a place of cynicism and that that armor or mask on, well, guess what? You get to really impact lives. I've saved dozens of lives from suicide, from domestics, from car crashes, from all of it. I've saved dozens of lives. So I get to impact people's lives in their most vulnerable time. People don't call you because they want to say hi. They call you because they don't know what to do. They don't have the skills that maybe you do. They don't have the experiences that maybe you do. And this is one of the reasons why you'll see in the links down below, there's all my different services. And I do these videos to help you advance, but I do hope that you come learn my knowledge, learn my skills, because just like you'll turn up to a domestic and somebody just hasn't learned your skills that you'll be teaching them those things when you're talking to them, when you're dealing with and you're getting evidence. You'll be having those conversations and you can make that biggest impact. Same exact thing I do for you to get into the place and overcome and prevent burnout and PTSD. So you're doing the same thing as I am. And you know what? Just like you'll listen to dozens and dozens of these videos and you'll never come get me. And then you'll feel like you're never getting and you're never advancing, you're never making a difference. And then, we'll talk dozens and dozens of time and then finally it all clicks. Well, guess what? That same thing happens for defendants and offenders and victims the same way. So you get to make that impact. You get to learn how to make that impact. You also get that variety. This job, the policing job, I'm not in it anymore, but the policing job has so much variety in it, but yet so much consistency of the same stuff. But if you focus on the variety of it, you get to go to different houses, you get to talk to different people, you get to experience different things. Hell, you can change roles within the police and be able to do different roles within it as well. If you start to get bored of you actually, it's not bored. You just hone in your skills and you get good at something. And if you're like, hey, I want to go get different skills, you can go do it very easily within law enforcement. I've already talked about impact. I've got notes over here. And camaraderie. Once you bleed blue, you never stop bleeding blue. It's very difficult to get your mindset out of you're not one of the team anymore. Even after you leave, even if you're only in for a year, you will still resonate with them because you're putting your lives on the line at times. Every single day you hop into that uniform, you hop in that patrol car, you're putting your life on the line because there are people out there that really, really just don't like you. And they will do whatever they can to bring pain to you. And so when you have that tight knit of people around you and you build lifelong friendships, lifelong camaraderie. Some of my best friends are cops, and they still are. My best friend that I catch up with quite often is still a cop. He and I met at training. All the people that I went to training with, I literally will have their back no matter what. They don't have to hesitate to call. And I'm sure they all know that. All the people that I've worked with in the past, same exact thing. I'll never turn one away. The bonds that you make, even nationwide, worldwide, you tell somebody that you're an ex-cop and that you did this and you did that, and there's instantly a bond. There is camaraderie there like no other career because you are putting your life on the line to save civilians, to save other people. So that is next level. And if you ever leave, it's the thing that you strive for and you look for the most. Experiences. You get to experience some of the coolest stuff. Highlight of my career, I got to work with Secret Service, protecting Joe Biden, now President Joe Biden, when he was vice president. And working along and watching how they operate was unbelievable. Getting to see the beast and getting to see armored Suburbans and getting to drive alongside them and talk with them and see what they get to do and what their training is. It was a highlight. So you get to do these really cool experiences. I've been flown around the country. I have done martial arts stuff that you can't do anywhere else except for in law enforcement. I've done some shooting things that are just unbelievable. I've been able to shoot out of moving vehicles. I've been able to chase people. I've been able to do speeds that you'll never ever be able to do except for on a racetrack. I've been able to go to a racetrack and get paid to do it. So you get to do all these really cool things. And I get to shoot really cool guns and all sorts of different cool, fun things. Whatever, there is so many different options out there. You can go to dive squad and get to do really cool diving stuff. You can fly. I've flown in the Eagle helicopter. I got to fly in helicopters and not have to pay for it because of the police. I got to fly an Eagle. I got to fly with the VIPs in helicopters. Never thought that was possible. Always wanted to fly in a helicopter, but never thought it was possible because of money. Did my first 3 flights in a helicopter and got paid to do it. So you get to go really cool experiences. And then the connections. Like I said already with the camaraderie, you get to build these really cool connections with the people that you work with, but also the people that you meet. Depending on the role, depends on who you get to meet. I've met some really incredible business people. And sadly, I was in a burned out state and not really thinking about my future. but it would have been really good connections for once I was outside the police. And so really remembering that, but then also just the connections that I've made by the police officers that I've met, and then they've gone on and started businesses. And even after getting out of the police force, those connections that you meet because you were a police officer. So there's really cool connections that you make. And also, I've met and interacted with high level people because we got called there because of their kids, or because they were having just one of those days and we got called there by the neighbors, and so we're interacting with them and having that conversation with them, not with as them as a negative person, but as a me being a human to them. So you get to really do these really cool connections. And then fun. Before we get to the last thing, fun. Some of the most fun things I've ever done, I got paid to do it. Like I talked about the helicopter side of stuff. I get to chase people. I got to impact lives, like I already talked about. I got to have I have laughed some of the hardest laughs that I've had as as a cop on duty with people. You get to crack jokes, you get to make different experiences, you get to make it whatever you want, and you get to make fun with it. And so when you're living from that place of fun as a police officer, oh my God. So that's one of the things. Now, skills. You get to learn some of the best skills that you'll ever learn. And this is why people will hire you once you leave the police, if you ever do. Or you might retire and then you take those skills with you. But you'll learn skills that you can use outside the police, and you'll learn some skills that you'll never learn anywhere else unless you go pay a lot of money for somebody to teach you, which there are those opportunities out there. But things like communication. Yes, most cops naturally are communicators, but really good cops are really good communicators, and they learn to hone that skill in. I only ever used one use of force, and that was OC spray once after the guy assaulted my partner. Not my personal partner, but my work partner. I used spray. Never had to draw the taser out, never had to pull a firearm on somebody with another firearm. Always comms worked extremely well. Probably helps that I'm 6'6" and 220 pounds most of the time of my policing career, but or 100 kilos. But comms is a huge thing. When you can communicate with somebody and you can get somebody to work with you instead of working against you, less use of force, less complaints, better results. Now, where does that transfer into? It transfers anywhere in your life. Communicating with your partner, communicating with friends, communicating with your kids, communicating in other jobs. So comms, you get to learn really good communication skills. Threat assessments. As a cop, you're consistently assessing the threats. When you stop a car, okay, where are threats? Where am I looking? What's going on around me? What's in the car that I just stopped? Is there alerts? Is there things? You get really good at analyzing threats. You move further up within the police, you get to analyze different threats. You analyze the threat of everybody instead of just yourself. As diplomatic protection, I'm now analyzing threats of people that don't just fit the profile of a threat, but are also just in general looking for threats. Now that has a downside as well, but you get to learn to threat assess, and it becomes a habit. It becomes natural that you don't actually have to think about. And the cops that are really healthy understand that, and they don't have to have that constant alertness to the threat assessment. They rely on their instincts. You get really good at reading people as well. Now, I'm an exceptional coach because of my policing career. This is why I do everything via video. I don't do it over the phone, because I can read people, their body language. I can read their patterns of how they're moving, when they say things, what's coming across. I can hear tones in their voices. I can hear when they're looking, it tells me different things because of my years of policing, interviewing people, talking with people, and really having to break down, are they lying or not? And what do they do when they do lie? Like, people look away when they aren't really telling the truth. People look down when they're ashamed. People look up when they're kind of visualizing something. How do they actually articulate this? But they won't make eye contact with you when they're lying. Their shoulders will actually drop slightly. When they're confident or overly confident, their shoulders go way back. So different things that you learn as a cop when it comes to reading people. And then you observe. Your observation skills go off the chart because you are so used to looking around all the time that you naturally become extremely observant. You're always looking around. And so naturally you end up getting that as a sixth sense without even knowing you're doing it. So these are some of the great things that you get to learn as a police officer, and this is why you should be one. Now, if you're struggling with fitness, you're struggling with mindset, or maybe you're just still unsure, in the description down below, you will see links to different things that I run. Now, yes, they are things that you need to pay for. There is a masterclass for fitness type side of stuff to get into the place and mindset. And there is a motorcycle ride that we're doing to teach you all the different tools, the mindset tools that I teach, so that you never end up where I did. Again, learning that knowledge. But I do these videos most importantly so that you get learnings. You can be the best cop that you can be. So I'd really like it if you would like, you would subscribe, you would hit the alert bell so that every time these videos come out, you get notified so that you're always advancing and building your career up, because we're losing too many cops to suicides, to mental health breaks, needing time off, and also just leaving the job because of not being able to cope with it all and getting sick of it because their mindset's different. So I want to prepare you before you even get in. I also want to shift that mindset if you're already in. So go have a look at those, and we will talk to you on the next video. The next video is why not to be a cop. And these are things that people won't necessarily always tell you. So we'll see you on the next video or podcast. Look forward to it. Thank you very much. And yeah, comment down below what your biggest takeaway was.